I want you to think about the last time you checked your bank balance. Not casually, but really checked it. Maybe it was late at night, maybe you were lying in bed. You weren't shocked, but you weren't comfortable either. Nothing dramatic happened. No big purchase, no reckless spending spree. And yet, somehow, the money just didn't feel right. That quiet discomfort, that's where this conversation starts. Because for most people, the problem isn't overspending. It's something much harder to notice. It's misunderstanding how money actually works in real life. And once you see that, a lot of the guilt you've been carrying starts to loosen its grip. For years, we've been told a simple story about money. If you're stressed, you must be spending too much. If you're behind, you probably lack discipline. If you're stuck, you need a better budget. It sounds logical, clean, almost comforting, but it doesn't explain something important. It doesn't explain why people who track every expense still feel anxious, why people who don't buy luxury items feel broke, why smart, hardworking adults feel like money is constantly slipping through their fingers. If overspending were the real issue, awareness alone would fix it. But that's not what we see. What we see is people doing their best and still feeling lost. That's not a discipline problem. That's a misunderstanding problem. Here's the uncomfortable truth most of us never get taught. Money isn't something we spend. Money is something we move through time. And almost no one explains that properly. We're taught to think in transactions, not trajectories. Rent, groceries, bills, subscriptions, each decision feels small, isolated, manageable. So we judge ourselves by individual moments. I didn't overspend today. I stayed within my budget this week. I deserve that small reward. But money doesn't experience life in moments. It experiences life in patterns. And patterns are where things quietly go wrong. Let me give you an example that feels uncomfortably familiar. Imagine someone who earns a decent income. Nothing extravagant, but stable. They don't buy luxury cars. They don't take lavish vacations. They don't gamble or make wild financial bets. From the outside, they look responsible. But over time, their life fills with invisible commitments. A slightly nicer apartment because it felt reasonable at the time. A car payment that made life easier. Streaming services they barely notice. Eating out because work is exhausting. Small conveniences to reduce daily stress. None of these decisions are bad. That's important. The problem isn't the decisions. It's the story they tell themselves while making them. The story goes like this. I can afford this now. And technically, they're right. But money doesn't care about now. Money cares about later. This is where most misunderstandings begin. We think affordability is about the present moment. But affordability is actually about future flexibility. When you say yes to something today, you're quietly saying no to something tomorrow. Not in a dramatic way. In a slow, almost invisible way. Less room to breathe. Less margin for mistakes. Less freedom to walk away from things that no longer serve you. And because nothing explodes immediately, the brain doesn't register danger, so it keeps repeating the pattern. Psychologically, this makes sense. Our brains evolved to solve short-term problems. Food now, shelter now, safety now. Long-term trade-offs don't feel real because they don't create immediate pain. So when people say, I don't overspend, they're usually right in the short term, but they're missing the long-term picture entirely. They're not overspending money, they're overspending future options. And no budgeting app warns you about that. Another misunderstanding hides in how we define being good with money. Most people think being good with money means control, tracking, categorizing, optimizing. But control isn't the same as clarity. You can control something without understanding its deeper behavior. You can track every dollar and still misunderstand how financial stress actually accumulates. Because stress doesn't come from spending too much. It comes from feeling trapped. Think about the moments when money stress hits hardest. It's not when you buy groceries, it's when something unexpected happens. A medical expense, a job change, a family obligation, a sudden feeling that you can't keep doing this anymore. That's when misunderstanding shows up. Because money, at its core, is about optionality. It's about how many choices you have when life doesn't go as planned. And most people design their financial lives assuming life will go as planned. This is where things get quietly dangerous. When income rises, spending often follows, not because of greed, but because of normalization. What once felt luxurious slowly becomes normal. And normal doesn't feel risky. A higher rent feels justified. A nicer lifestyle feels earned. More comfort feels deserved. Again, none of this is wrong, but it changes your financial gravity. Your life becomes heavier, and heavier lives require more effort just to stay in place.